is we expanded. We're an African garment business. We sell oils, products. My wife over here, she makes bonnets for our culture. So she does this. She got a nice sewing machine and nice upstairs equipment where she just really gets down, and she also sews her own skirts, mainly for ourselves. But she does get the word out there as far as getting out there to the communities.
Yeah.
So we branched off, and so now we're doing a lot more vending events. We got a big one coming up at the Webster Arena. That's called the Ladies of Virtue. Yes, sir. It usually brings about 20,000 women from all around the world, worldwide. So this kind of sparked us, and the whole thing about Uhuru, and once again, the Swahili for Liberation of Freedom, is we take the proceeds when everybody buys a skirt, or they buy any type of oils, or they buy any type of hair bonnets, or any type of products that we sell. We send that directly over to our bank account in Cape Town, South Africa. So everybody that buys a piece of whatever we sell, we send that directly over there. And we try to keep that in mind, that your money is the key thing to helping us build over there, so we can take our community, whoever wants to thrive over in Africa, we can show you how to invest over there. So you're investing in something higher than just seeing what you see right in front of our tables. So, we always want to specify that every time that we do vending shows. So, once again, the big show is coming up, but we want to keep in mind also, we're going to have something where, your eyes only see two things. It sees light and images. So me and my wife, we're a beautiful image to our culture. Young couples, we're getting at an early age. Me and my wife, we met at CT Transit. We're actually city workers, bus operators. So we did the city here. That's how me and my wife met. So, from there, we had a clear motion about where we want to go take our lives. So we didn't fathom it was going to take us to Africa.
No way.
No way?
Had no idea. Anyone would tell you. I had no idea. And look at us now.
Look at you now. Isn't that something?
Yes, sir.
It's beautiful.
Yes. So what is it like to, tell us what it's like to, I guess, build a community from scratch? I mean, from actual scratch.
Yusuf, I want to tell the audience, especially us around here, how it really originated. It originated through books.
Yes.
So, I read his book. It was published probably around 2000, 2001. One of the greatest, man, he's still living nowadays. His name is Claude Anderson. Claude Anderson wrote a book called Powernomics. I'm going to show you how this all kind of stimulated back then, before I met my wife.
Very familiar.
And my wife's always been my key helper as far as, getting everything up and going. And she labels everything. She gets everything, makes sure it's like an oil machine. All right, I couldn't do this without her. So anyhow, so it stimulated back in 2000, 2001. Read this book called Powernomics. I actually have it right here in front of me.
Good.
I brought it here just in case, we want to bring us highlighted points. So Claude Anderson, in a book called Powernomics, he specifies a lot about group economics. All right. So, a lot of us are not getting it as a group, but he said, if you don't do it as a group, there's one thing I want you guys to always keep in mind. He said, keep in mind that it always goes back to your natural resources, which is land, minerals, and precious metals. All right. So going back to this chapter, I'm going to read just a real quick clip of what he says about natural land and what you do. So he says that his new orientation to group economics requires understanding the cycle of wealth. The cycle begins with natural resources, minerals, and precious metals. Next, it moves to human labor, especially black slave labor, which drove the engines of civilizations around the world. By the mid-1960s, technologies has become the great wealth builder. Technology did the heavy lifting, moving, cleaning, and building. We are currently in the fourth phase, the information and manipulation of symbols. Information manipulators and distributors have emerged as the greatest wealth builders ever. So he says, since blacks have not captured the technology part, he said, always go back to your natural resources, which is always going to be land that is tangible to us.
Right.
All right.
So land is wealth.
Land is always going to be the key thing, because look at where we're at right now. We're in the studio on land.
Yes.
Now, back then, I didn't understand what Claude Anderson was kind of talking about land. So most of us always think about buying houses, flipping, and maybe renting out the second or third floor so you can live on the first floor for free. That's most of our mindset. So that's what I did. I thought that's what Claude Anderson was teaching me. And this is how my mind kind of gravitated towards real estate. You know, so I got my real estate license. I started buying some homes. I failed. We all got caught in that 2008 bubble. You know, I didn't file for bankruptcy, but I lost one of my homes. I sold my last one in probably about 2014. But during the midst of all the notion that's going on, I realized I was just as broke as I was when I first bought my first house. All right, so boom. Later on, I got a job at CT Transit. Met my wife over there. So, you know, once again, this Africa notion wasn't in mind right now. It was just strictly about just buying houses here. Just trying to capture wealth, or what we called back then the American dream, which we know now it's American nightmare. So, so now going forward, we met this man. I actually came into CT Transit as a personal trainer. So, you know, we're big into the holistic wealth, fitness, and stuff like that. My wife was definitely into all that stuff too. So, you know, we had a common bond, a common language of health, you know. And even, you know, long story short, even when I was in Africa, you know, I was reading about sugars, and I said, you know, I think we should throw away all the sugars in the house. She took a picture of all the sugars in the garbage can. You know, that's how she has my back. So, you know, going back to CT Transit, so when we were there, I came in as a personal trainer, and CT Transit has their own gym there. So, you know, I started working out. Me and my wife, we started, you know, she wasn't my wife at the time, but we started working out. And lo and behold, this guy came in, and we just kind of gravitated towards life. And we started having great conversations because I was in my own bubble and I didn't know what I wanted to take my life or where I wanted to take it. You know, I've been reading different books and I'm just not interpreting it maybe the right way because things are not panning out the way I thought it was supposed to. So anyhow, so this man, we started chit-chatting. So I started training a little bit, just telling him different techniques, how to work your body. And that same year, I think I went on my spiritual journey. So I went over to the pyramids of Chichen Itza, Mexico, stayed with the Mayans, indigenous. I was writing a book about energy because I felt like my energy was moving in a different direction. So anyhow, later on, gathering all the information about, I was telling him when I came back what I experienced as far as how the Mayans and Aztecs were able to build something, capture light from the sun, and it actually never paid any bills. You know, everything was sunlight. Everything was built, just like the Egyptians. They were called Ta'amarays. Actually, is in the middle of the landmass of Earth. So if you realize, you know, going back to Henry, the guy I was training, his name is Henry. After further conversations, I realized, he told me, he said, Marley, you know, I'm from South Africa. And I said, really? And he said, yeah. So we had more conversation because I was picking him about Julius Malema and what's going on over there. So, you know, even before that, you know, Julius was a real prominent as he is now. But, you know, we're just talking about different things about what's happening in Africa and how I was misinformed about things that are going on. So that later, it really hit me about this man. And he said, Marley, you got a lot of questions. He said, I can't really answer your questions while we're working out, because I didn't stop working out trying to pick his brain. Forgot we were in there for it. Anyhow, so he said, listen, you young man, you have a lot of questions. I said, so how about you just come over, bring your father, which my father's name was Henry also.
Wow. And
bring your children over there so we can sit down and talk about it the right way. So later down the road, we got something together. And I brought my father over there. It was in the 2013. My father was still living. So my mentor, Henry, met my father, Henry. All right, which the irony in that is pretty overwhelming.
Yes.
So anyhow, yeah. So
irony.
Yeah. So we all sat around, and so basically what my mentor, Henry, was saying to my father, Henry said, listen, I love your son. I love his energy. I like where his head is at. I love what he's about. He said, basically saying it without even saying it to my father, I want to take him with me, if you allow me to, over to Africa. And basically my father was saying, yes, because my father was my best friend, so I always showed him my next movements, or what's the next piece of this journey that we got to piece together for this culture. Because me and my wife don't do this just for us and our families. We do this for y'all. And I always specify that every time. People don't try to hear me sometimes when I talk about stuff like this, but we do it for us. We do it for the culture. We do it for the spirituality of life. So anyhow, back to Henry and my father, Henry. So we had a blessing conversation that night or that day. And my father later on, when we finally finished everything, we wrapped it up, and we got in the car. He's like, son, I'm really proud of you. And I said, thanks, Dad. He said, because "It's one thing about you, son. You always are aware of time." And I said, "Yeah." He said, "I definitely bless you with this next journey coming up." So with that being said, my father died the following year, 2014. So I wasn't able to go that year. Even though I was compiling all this information to my wife, we were just dating at the time. So I was saying what was in my mind, and even she was like, Africa.
Africa. Yeah. That's my reaction.
Yeah. So
I said, okay.
Well, I mean, it was a trip, right? I mean, yeah. It was an adventure.
It is, and you know what? The adventure turned into a movement.
Wow.
So with that going forward, Henry and I, after my father passed, and he became part of the ancestor world. He helped me out from the other side. There's many instances I know that I couldn't have been there without my father.
Wow.
All right. So we'll just leave it at that, not to get all spooky and talking about
I mean, that's your experience.
Yeah.
We want to hear that. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir. So that year I didn't go, 2014. So we kind of just preparation. You got to be mentally prepared, because I still had a lot of questions, even though he was answering them, and I still don't forget. This is many years of throwing this Africa thing on TV and showing spears and no houses and you got the tigers and lions, no food, and a lot of flies. So this didn't come without criticism. Even my own friends criticized this thing that was in my head. I said, listen, you can't criticize a Christian going to church. This is part of my spirituality. This is part of who I am.
Right.
So anyhow, so going forward, me and Henry and now soon to be wife, we said, all right, 2015 is going to be the year that we make our transition over to Africa. And I said, let's do it. So I sold my last house around March of 2015. I took the proceeds out of that, which it wasn't very much. So let's get deep into math. So I had $10,500. So I had some savings. So I went over to about $20,000 to be exact. Because we got to get real math with our people. So anyhow, so we went over there with that amount of money. I actually went by myself, and that journey by myself, I was very nervous. So that's why another reason why we have to get this word out there, because I was nervous about do you need vaccinations? Because I'm against vaccinations. My wife's against vaccinations. Do you need vaccinations? 2, you only can bring over $10,000. That's considered money laundering over $10,000. I had 20. so I was a little nervous about that. And 3, I was nervous about the size of the plane. I thought we was going to be in a little boo-boo plane, that's going to fall from the sky. No, you're in a 747. That's one of the largest planes out there. Right. And you got TVs, and you got a lot of modern movies that's in the movie theaters, that you can watch for the next 16 hours if you want to. And another thing is just mentally preparing yourself to take that journey. And I took it by myself. That's another reason why I was doing my spiritual journeys, because I wanted to make sure I was mentally prepared for whatever was going to come next and be solid about it.
Yes.
Yeah. So so finally, I'm at the airport. My wife dropped me off, and I'm there. And don't forget, I'm going by myself. This journey to Africa that I'd never been, and not to say I was very naive, because I didn't even Google Cape Town, South Africa.
You didn't even Google it?
And I'm not ashamed to say that on here. I didn't. I'm gonna tell you how. I know.
But did you get an immunization? Did you have to take shots? Did you have to get shots?
No.
Okay, good. No. See, that was a myth, right?
It's a myth.
Well, for Cape Town, we didn't.
For Cape Town, you didn't. See? Okay, a lot of people think you have to do that.
No. And this is why we're gonna get these seminars out here a little bit more.
You go.
So I was worried about that. So no, you don't need any vaccinations, any type of shots, none at all, none. So the plane is big. It's very big, and then you got to take 2 flights. So you got to take one flight over to Johannesburg, and you got to take an additional flight over to Cape Town. So in general, overall, it's about 16 hours. You're going to be taking a flight over from here to Cape Town, South Africa. All right. So finally, when I arrive, after getting all this nervous, because I was still nervous on the plane too. My stomach was turning, and I didn't want to use the bathroom because I didn't want anybody to come in after me. And so I was very, very nervous. So I know anybody is listening to us, we're trying to kill your nerves about making this move, not just Africa, but anywhere around the world. You got to get over this fear of the unknown.
Right.
So, so that's what the whole project was, getting over that fear.
Wow.
And I was getting over the fear
Yeah.
with some criticism,
Mm-hmm.
So anyhow, so I finally get over there. And I was ashamed to tell people, like, you didn't Google Cape Town? You didn't see the pictures? The only thing I did was I actually looked at some houses that were over there. So I realized, the houses there were pretty big. But once again, I was really strictly riding off my father's essence and and Henry's word. And I looked into the eyes strictly through the eyes, and I see the soul was good. So I wasn't questioning anything that he was saying to me.
Mm-hmm.
He said, to the point, he said, I'm going to say no more. You're just going to see for yourself. So finally, when I arrived to South Africa, Cape Town, I was greeted by Henry and his wife. All right. So they greeted me there, and the first thing that slaps you in your face is the mountains, because you're surrounded by mountains and water, right? So you're surrounded by the Atlantic and the Indian Ocean and mountains. So that's all surrounded by you.
Wow.
And I just paused and looked around, and I said, "Wow, this is Africa," And then when I finally looked around, and I finally came into realization I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
I jumped inside the car, but they drive on the opposite side of the street, and you're also, the passenger side. You know how we drive here in the United States. That's actually on the opposite side. So I had to get in on the, let's say, the driver's side, which is, it's just everything's different. So what you think about here, everything's flip-flopped.
Mm-hmm.
And also you drive on the opposite side of the street.
Okay.
And that's another thing I didn't really put inside my mindset, like, wow, this is pretty deep, Yeah. So, going along there to where we had to be, first, you're going to go into a cell shop because you're seeing mountains, you're seeing really the natural beauty of life. And while we were driving, it was pretty deep. It was pretty beautiful. Some things I was like, whoa, he didn't tell me about this part. But finally when we arrived at his house, he said, listen, Marlon, he said, we're not going to do anything today. I want you to sit back, relax. And one of my other mentors, his name is Bongo Man. He has his own oil business over in Dixville Ave. It's called House of Incense, 747 Dixville Ave. That's my mentor. We call him Bongo Man.
Okay.
He said, Marlon, always stack your seeds. And he said, also, when you get to Africa for me, he said, take off your shoes and feel Mother Earth for what it is without any socks on. And I did that. And that's when I cried. And I cried. And I cried because I made it. I cried because my father was there with me, even though he wasn't physically there. And I cried because I'm looking around and saying, how come they don't promote this to us?
You're listening to the Electric Drum, 94.3 WYBC, Moving Targets. I am here in for Jay Kemp. We're here with Marlon and Tamika of Uhuru.
Uhuru. Yes, sir.
And they're talking about their program. Marlon is just explaining this beautiful story.
Thank you, sir.
Of his encounters in South Africa. And he's just telling us about how he felt when he took his shoes off to feel Mother Africa underneath his feet. Tell us more.
Sure. Yeah, so finally when we get to Cape Town, we get to Henry's house. He said, we're not going to do anything today. We're just going to sit back. And then when you're sitting back, you're looking at the mountains, you couldn't really see any water from where Henry's situated. But you could just really look at the trees and the birds and, just a lot of different natural looking creatures out there. None of that comes inside your home, none of that the walking or stuff like that. We think of like, lions or tigers and, nothing that walks inside your home. I'm talking about flying creatures right now.
Wow.
And you got really, really unique looking birds and creatures. So anyhow, so I was taking that all in. So I was just being humble and I was just being gracious because this man let me into his home. And with that right there and within itself, it really says a lot about who these people are over there. They're very grounded about who they are.
Yes.
So anyhow, finally, Henry and his wife woke me up in the morning time, and usually I stayed in my room for most of the part because it was their vacation time too. I want to keep that. You know, they took me over there during their vacation time.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
I was on there for 2 weeks, but you know, I said, listen, he came to our room and said, you're always in your room. I said, listen, I'm honored to be here. I said, you don't need to see my face in the kitchen and the living room. I said, you just come get me when you need me. You know, 'cause I didn't want to pry in their business. And, you know,
Yes,
you know,
yes.
he's like, Molly. He said, come on, Molly Mall. You know, I was like, hey, hear me call me Molly. He said, come on, Molly Mall. Come on. You Molly Mall now. He said, but anyhow, so we woke up, and the following morning, we went over to Midwest Bank. That's one of the banks out there. And we deposited $20,000 I had. And I was, once again, I was still nervous because I didn't know if they're going to say, you know, he's not a African citizen or South African citizen. You know, he's not this and this, that. They strictly went off Henry for being a part of the being part of the bank for the last 30-something years.
Okay.
So yeah, so Henry said, listen, this is like family. This is like my nephew. This is like my blood. He said, get him an account. They honored that. And I put away I put the whole $20,000 aside the bank. You know, I want everybody to think international here. So one of your American dollars at the time, even back in 2015, one of your American dollars was still over $15.
Mm-hmm.
So if you got $2, it's $30. So even if $100,000, that's over $1 million in South African money.
Really?
So that's how incredible it is.
Okay.
Our dollar compared to what we call the South African, they call it the rands, RANDS, the rands.
Okay.
So you know, anybody want to Google that? So you know, just keep in mind, this is how you could become a millionaire just by having American dollars from here. You know, if you got about 50, maybe $60,000 American money, that's almost over 1 million rands out there.
Wow.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just want to keep that in mind when I was putting that account, because when I looked at my bank account, I was like, whew, maybe $300,000, you know, and that was pretty powerful. And I looked at my statement, I said, Henry, I think they put too many O's on there. You know, he said no. He said no. They did it right, Molly. That's how much your money's worth out here. You know.
Wow.
And once again, I didn't know, so I'm learning through this trip. So that the whole thing was when we went over there, we got the bank account opened up. The following days, the whole goal was to own land. So we didn't come in there just a bank account. We come in there to find land. Now here's the irony of it all. When people go on this airplane trip, they're gonna realize 90%, I even go as far as 95% of all the people on the plane are Europeans.
98%.
I would say maybe 98%. You're right,
Really?
buddy. You're right.
Oh.
Now
so
you're in for a shell shock.
So they got the info.
You see a
There
brother,
you
you
go.
be like, brother. Be happy to see a brother on that plane.
Wow.
Yeah. So 98%. I even take it that far. Yeah, you're right.
Yes.
So 98% are all Europeans.
Every time.
Every time. They got the win.
They know what's going on.
All right. So we were well aware of that.
Wow.
See, that's what we say, stay
Wow.
conscious.
Yes, yes.
And
stay
I would
conscious,
say,
right.
like Hubert P. Newton always says, observation is education.
Absolutely.
All right. So now we're observing this, you know, back to, you know, the bank account. So the following day, after the, you know, second and third day I'm there, we went looking for land. So I'm looking for black realtors. There are no black realtors. Yeah. All right. So, you know, so I'm looking through all the pairs. I said, Henry, just don't black. He said, Marlon, that's why I love you. He said, because there really are no black realtors. So, okay. So I had to get that out of my mind. All right. So
Get that straight.
yeah, I thought this was thought this was a black continent.
Right?
But
Wow.
but anyhow, so
Man.
I had to get that out of my mind. So I said, okay, let's go with a what's next best? You know, I guess we got to go with either a white male or a Caucasian female. We went with a couple of Caucasian males. They didn't work out too good. Don't forget, I didn't have much time to waste. So we finally found this lady. Her name is Lindsay. She's a Caucasian female. So anyhow, she was very, very nice. I didn't sense any type of racism or any type of prejudice against what I was doing.
Okay.
They actually were loving the fact that we were from the States.
Good.
So they were treating us like royalty, you know, especially when I was over there. They were treating us like royalty. So anyhow, she found us. Like I told Henry, I said, listen, if we do find land, please don't put us too far away from you, because, you know, we're still foreign to the land. So I didn't want to go too far. I want to at least ride my bike, to you if I had a bicycle. He said, okay, I ain't gonna move you too far, Molly. So anyhow, we found something overlooking the Atlantic Ocean, probably about 5 minutes out.
Wow. Nice.
5 minutes away from where Henry lives. And we also found something looking over the Atlantic Ocean. So it's a beautiful plot of land. And from there, we kind of sat on the land, and then I came back to the States. And from there, it was a different part of what it is now we exist in. Now our purpose turned to another movement. And this was trying to get the word out there about not only the money ratio, not only owning your land, but now we're killing the noise about the malls. Now we're seeing, because don't forget, while we were there, you know, we didn't do too much the first year I was there. We just pretty much was just strictly business. Me and Henry planned out everything as far as, you know, where we're going to get the land. Henry had everything laid out for me. He had a newspaper in front of him. He said, all right, we're going to go here, here, here. So all the thing I had to do was just mentally get ready and say, listen, let's get it done. So in 2 weeks amount of time, we got the land and we got our own bank account. So what we probably did in 2 weeks, people probably don't do all their lives there, born and raised there.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, you have your rich end.
That's
you
incredible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we didn't do anything for 2015, but sit on the land and just bask in glory. And I say, hey, just spread the word. We got some land out there.
Yeah.
So, you know, my wife didn't go with me that first year. So the second year, my wife came. And this actually time we went together. And I didn't do any tours the first year because I wanted to save everything for the first time for us. So the second year we went out there. And this is where we went. Henry greeted us at the airport because we went on his vacation time again. Because I still didn't have any cars. We didn't have any vehicles yet.
Okay.
So he greeted us. We didn't stay with his apartment because we weren't married. So they still have principles. So, you know, he's found something near him, like a bed and breakfast. And when we stayed at the bed and breakfast, there was another bed and breakfast that was being built right next to us. So my wife said, hey, let's go to next door and knock on them and see what it looks like inside. And maybe they could possibly build our bed and breakfast. So that's where...
There wasn't even an idea of bed and breakfast yet. Only until we stayed at one and saw one being built. So we had to scope it out, see what it was about, and that's where the idea came from.
Wow.
Yeah. And out there, they don't really call it B&B, which is bed and breakfast. They actually call it guest houses.
Okay.
They call it guest houses. So, you know, you can rent it out as an Airbnb or a guest house. But we realized most of the Europeans that are really, really majorly paid out there really get paid off guest houses. So that's when the light bulb kind of dinged in our heads.
Wow.
This is how we can turn our house into a bed and breakfast, or what we call out there guest houses. So that's what we did. So while we're still handling business, I wanted my wife to see some of the things I had seen last year. I didn't get to do a whole lot. So one of the first tours that Henry took us to, he took us to a safari called the Aquila. And Aquila is about 3 hours away from where we're situated. So where we're at, we're in the Western Cape called Fishhook.
Okay.
So Fishhook is right where all the tourist attractions happens. So we're near Boulders Beach, which is Penguin Island. That's about 15 minutes away from where we are. That's where we're going to show people. We're about another additional maybe 15, 20 minutes. So we're in the middle. So 15, 20 minutes away from Boulders Beach. We're about 15, 20 minutes away from Cape Point. This is where the Atlantic and Indian Ocean merges together. We're about another 20 minutes away from Chapman's Peak. So we're right in the midst of everything. So that, you know, that second year we came, Henry blessed us and his wife. They blessed us. They took us over to a safari called Aquila. And Aquila, they really lay it out for you. I mean,
It's beautiful.
I mean, they really give you a 5-star treatment. I mean, the whole 5-star buffet. And I'm going to get down to the basics. You know, I'll paint you guys a picture of our journey. Then we're going to get down to the community building.
Okay, we have, you know, we're running out of time, but yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
Okay, how much time we got, brother?
We have until about 45.
Okay, I'm gonna slim this up.
Let's slim it up.
I'm gonna slim it up. All right, so basically, so what it is we seen the Aquila safari, and that's when we got to see, you know, the elephants, the giraffes, everything on safari. It's very safe. You're in a cage vehicle, but you know, once again, that enlightened us about, wow, this is beautiful, right?
Beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, just the zebras and everything. So you know,
We can't even explain it though. Like you gotta see it.
You just have to see
You gotta
it.
see it.
yeah. I'm going to explain it to you the best as I can, but you know, the best thing is you definitely got to get there.
We got to get there.
You got to get there. So the safari was beautiful. So that's 3 hours away. And then we took, you know, don't forget, there's many malls. You got one of the popular malls called the V&A Waterfront Mall. That's on the waterfront. And then you got a lot of beach nightclubs right on the water near the malls. Then you got another one called Century City. It's shaped like a palace. Now, if I show you a picture of it, listen, if you would go to South Africa and come back to America, you would think Connecticut's a third world country compared to South Africa.
Really?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, and that's no joke, man. It's really on the uprise.
Wow.
You know, and it's always been rising. So you know, that was a lot. And then we talk about Chapman's Peak, and you know, we can show you pictures about that, and you'll see like it's mesmerizing as far as, you know, and you're looking at things saying, God is beautiful. To create Elohim, it's a beautiful process that what we working with here. And you know, that there, we were glad we invested in South Africa. Now, when we also took a tour, and this is on the Waterfront Mall, V&A Waterfront Mall. We also took a tour over to what we call Robbins Island. Robbins Island is where Nelson Mandela was at.
Yes.
In jail, right? So me and my wife went there. This is the first time I was there. So this is when she cried.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tears.
Yeah. So, you know, that's the basics of how we got introduced to Cape Town through Henry and his wife. And so, you know, I'm just trying to give you the foundation of how and what we've seen out there. All right. So now all this is going on in the third year. Now, this is back to basics. So I always say the basics is land. So it's like hip hop. It's like calisthenics to me. You got to get your push-ups. You got to get your main body core down first, which is owning the land. Then you could jump into something else. So boom, the whole goal, what I had in mind, or what we have in mind, me and my wife, the whole goal is to set up something where we shut down these big businesses, the big corporations. Now, I'm not too far-fetched from this because we did it before and we could do it again. So the whole thing is we have, on our land right now, we have what you call water harvesting tanks. So we're trapping water from the sky as we speak. And all that we have to do now, we didn't purify the water, but we can purify the water inside the tank with charcoal. And then we can have some pipes irrigating into our homes, and we could use that for bathing, drinking water, or any type of water that you need to fertilize your or water down your grass or water down your fruits in your vegetables.
Yes.
You can use that water for anything. So I always tell people, why buy Poland Springs water if you could become it?
That's
Okay.
right. That's
So
right.
water harvesting tanks. So anybody want to Google water harvesting tanks? So that's one thing we already got set in motion. Here we put up his about 2 years ago.
That's right.
All right.
Wow.
Yeah. So another thing that we want to specify is we eliminated a 30-year mortgage. We have no mortgage. We have no APR, no interest rates. So once again, we're eliminating things that keep our people stressed out and not reaching their full potential.
Yes.
We eliminated a 30-year mortgage. I want to specify that. I want to clarify that. We eliminated a 30-year because we bought the land in cash. And then also we're building from all the hard work. I resigned from CD Transit, so I took my 401k and I put this all on building. My wife,
We both did.
my wife, she took out her money. She put this on the project.
Straight over there.
Straight over there. So I want to tell people we're not born in the riches here. This is just hard work and having a purpose and having a dream and having a movement and fulfilling it and act upon it.
Yes.
The worst knowledge is the knowledge not being applied. All right. So I don't care how many books you read. Don't become a walking book. You know, don't paraphrase things from even though I did from Claude Anderson, but I activated on stuff. So anyhow, once again, the whole thing is for our coaches is show them how to eliminate bills. So 1, we're eliminating the mortgage. 2, we're eliminating water bills. 3, you don't need car insurance out there. Car insurance is actually free. Okay, so that's one of the 3 things that keeps us burdened and keeps us in the recycle of life is bills, is stress. So not only that, we're going to take it a step further mathematically. There are most indigenous plants that are grown in South Africa, Madagascar, and even other indigenous places or places like South Africa, where you can produce your electricity. One of these plants I'm referring to is called biofilling plants. So this plant is known to reproduce itself 19 to 36 times. 18 to 36 times. And mathematically, 1 plus 8 is 9, 3 plus 6 is 9, and 9 in supreme mathematics means to be brought into existence, like 9 months of birth. All right. So this plant reproduces itself 18 to 36 times off one plant, and this one plant also produces 20 kilowatts of electricity. So what we're trying to tell you people is that's why they call it the power plants or nuclear plants. This one plant that self reproduces itself 18 to 36 times, you put that inside your home, you could basically electrify and grow your home through plants. So boom. So what I'm trying to tell people is you can even kill the light company. All right. Now,
wow, this is incredible.
Yeah, so you
wow.
Health insurance. Health insurance, you don't need help. So basically, let me give you the rundown. We killed the 30-year mortgage. Insurance, you could get your own private insurance out there. You don't need car insurance. I'm saying, which we just purchased a car last year. I didn't get insurance for it. There's no Geico and stuff like that. So
Okay.
We're going to eliminate light bills. We're also going to have the fruits, nuts, and vegetables. We're going to grow that. So also we're going to become our own supermarket.
Yes.
All right. And last but not least, when you're past 60 years old, you do pay taxes out there. But when you're past 60, you no longer pay taxes. And taxes, let's say for instance, we're building a palace. And the name of the palace we're building, the guest house we're building, is called the Palatial. In the Palatial, once we finish the Palatial, basically what we're saying is, once everything is all said and done, we're going to be our own community. And we're going to shut down big businesses, because the thing is, how you keep the demon and the devil keep going through collective thinking is thinking that you think you need them, or you need this type of living. So we're trying to kill that noise, saying no, money is never supposed to exist. So we're going to do collective thinking, bring it out of existence. We're going to bring light companies out of existence. We're going to bring water companies out of existence. We're going to bring mortgage companies out of banking out of existence. Now, keep in mind, if I wanted to start, me and my wife, we want to start our own banking system out there, I need 200 signatures. Bring that up to the South African Reserve, which is in Johannesburg, and say, listen, I want to start my own bank. Right? You might have to fill out, some paperwork and stuff like that, some formalities and stuff like that. But what they're saying is, let's say, for instance, we got it going, you and I, Marlon, Yusuf, Tamika, we could become our own bank. This has been done, and they're doing it out there. So what we're saying is, let's say, for instance, we sell this land and we become our own bank, and we sell this land, we could take that proceeds and bring it over to the community, not ask and beg loans from a bank, because you are your own bank. You're going to be competing against Citizens Bank. You're going to compete against Webster's Bank. You're going to compete against Liberty Bank, Bank of America. You are your own bank now. So once again, Elijah Muhammad did it. It's nothing foreign to what I'm saying right now. It's all been done.
Right.
Even if we're talking about even cars that ran off petroleum. Steve Myers invented something in 1998 that ran off water. It's been done. So I don't want to say something here that's far-fetched. I didn't want to get back to the Egyptians' time or raise the Sumerian time, because people don't want to hear that. So I said, I fast forward to 1998. Now, if you want to fast forward into the 2000s, we got to stay light years ahead of ourselves.
That's right. So Marlon, we have like about 3 minutes left.
Sure.
So if you could wrap it up and give us your message to the community for Moving Target.
Sure. Yeah, the message I want to get you guys out there. Everything that you thought about this holographic universe, we're going to have to kill it right now. Anything how you see love and how you view yourself, now this is more about self-love. See, what we're creating, me and my wife, this will get you closer to your creator. Because not only that, when you work your purpose full time, I'm talking about growing your own fruits in agriculture, when you don't have to spend all day working 2-3 jobs, as far as day and night not seeing your children, and if you don't have to spend all that money, that your hard-earned work money, towards a mortgage, towards a light bill, towards food, now you're becoming your own creator. You're becoming the image that God told you that you're supposed to be. You're recreating everything that people need to see around you. So basically what we're trying to say is images through me and my wife is going to be created now. Everything you see around this community, it's not what it was before. And a lot of it in science, we're on science, and Greek or Latin means to know. So what we're looking at is a science ethology. We don't create the communities. The banks that give us the loans created something that is foreign to us. So let's say, for instance, me and Yusef, we go with a blazing idea to the bank and say, listen, we want to open up our own bookstore. They might reject us. But let's say Tamika and somebody else goes there and say, hey, listen, we want to open up a liquor store right next to the church. They might approve that. So who's making the community, us or them? So we're trying to say, kill that noise. Now we're going to make our own community without begging, without even asking permission. Now we're saying, I would say, people like to get into politics. And here's the thing. I said left wing, right wing, same bird. It's the same bird that oppresses the people. You know what I mean? So I said, create your own agenda.
All right. So just let us know how we can get in contact with you, and then we can wrap it up.
Sure. You can do. You can contact us as Uhuru. So I'm gonna spell it out for you. It's www.uhurule.com. So it's called Uhuru, Swahili for Liberation and Freedom. Also, you can also contact us. That's our website. But if anybody want to contact physically, go get us on Facebook, Instagram, right, babe?
And our email, all the same, Uhuru.
Just an email?
It's all Uhuru.
Yep, Uhuru9@gmail.com. Once again, Uhuru9@gmail.com. If you want to contact me, anybody's on Messenger, so that's pretty easy. You don't need a cell phone to just message us and anything. We'll just get back to you.
Facebook Messenger.
All right. Well, listen, Marlon and Tamika, thank you so much.
Thank you
for coming on Moving Targets and being with us and sharing this wisdom with us. And I'm sure that those within the sound of our voice will be in contact with you, and you can help us think through this thing, building this community.
Right.
A wonderful story.
Thank you, sir.
You're listening to Moving Targets. On the other side of this is the Electric Drum, one-on-one with Yusuf Shah, and we'll be right back.
That went by fast.
Yeah.
How you think we did, brother?
Talk about
Man,
the
I'm
talking
glad I
machine.
came. I thought I was
Ready to
late,
sit
and then
here.
I was like, I guess I came early.
Oh, yeah.
That was good.